Awesome, man. Well, it looks like we had a little delay in the start of my intro there for a second. I don't know what was going on with that, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live Pin to Gas podcast. And it's an absolute honor today to sit down with Bill Campbell. I don't know if many of you know who Bill Campbell is. Some of you in the paddock absolutely know who Bill Campbell is. Father of Dion Campbell, absolute legend on two wheels, as Bill was too back in the day. But Bill, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dude, listen, the honor is absolutely all mine, my friend. And me and you have a lot to talk about. So, man, let's just get into it. Bill, tell us, where did your journey begin on those beautiful two wheels, my friend?
So honestly, I played baseball my whole life. And I came out of high school throwing 96 miles an hour as a lefty and made all-stars every year. And I sat there one day and my buddy goes, "Hey, we're going cruising," back in the day out on El Camino. And I said, "Oh, yeah?" And he goes, "Go with me, dude. I'm going on my bike." All right. So we sat there, we cruised, and we're going up and down the El Camino cruising and doing our things, talking to girls. And I turn around and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. It's way easy to find chicks. So I sat there and I said, you know what? I'm getting me a bike. And so I got a bike, and like 2 weeks later,
what was your another bike?
CBR 600 Hurricane.
Nice.
So I sat there a couple weeks later. I had I was getting ready for, with baseball season and stuff and training. And buddy comes up and he goes, "Hey," and I'm all like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, go to Laguna, go watch MotoGP." I'm sorry, everybody, but I'm all like, "What?" And he's a MotoGP. And I'm like, "What's a MotoGP?" He goes, "Dude, it's like the best of the best motorcycle racers." And I go, "They race those bikes?" And he goes, "Yeah." So I got to see this. So I said, "Yeah, I'll go with you." So we went to MotoGP. And I was sitting there watching MotoGP and watching Wayne Rainey and Kevin Swans and McDowan and just tearing it up. And I looked over at my buddy and I said, "Dude, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life." And he's all like, "What?" So I'm going to race motorcycles. He goes, "Dude, you barely ride." And I go like this. I go, "Well, no, I did a lot of dirt bike riding when I was younger. And I did BMX when I was younger." And I sat there, I said, "No, this is what I'm going to do." So I sat there and I watched every video I could get my hands on racing and studied it and went out and found the AMA races out at Sonoma. And I sat there, I went out there and watched that. And then I went out and I watched AFM the next round because that would have been my local club. And I sat there and I watched them. And I said, "Dude, this is what I'm going to do." I fell in love with it. Everything about it. I loved motorcycles as a kid, but I had those parents of no. And so I started racing, and then Dion was born. And so I raced, and I used to walk around with Dion, carry him like a football in my hand, and his head would rest against my elbow pit, and I just carry him around like a football everywhere.
I miss those days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, he's way too big for that now. But I sat there and I turned around and, I knew everybody. And it was actually funny that I taught myself how to slide a bike. And this is why this is the main reason Dion doesn't ride the street. Is I was watching the MotoGP I caught during the day, because back then you'd have to get it on Fox Sports Net or pick it up on some weird page or some weird channel in the middle of the night. Yeah. And they were talking about sliding the back tire out of the corner. Dude, I can do that. So the next day I got up and threw on my riding apparel, which at that time was a pair of sweats, McDowan sweater, and my helmet, and went up to Skyline, the local hills, and taught myself how to slide the bike. And yeah, this is why Dion doesn't ride the streets.
On the right, yeah.
So,
Don't condone this, by the way, on the street.
yes, I don't condone this. Do not follow my advice. I
Take it to the track.
yes, exactly. So that's how I taught myself how to ride, and I just kept going. And actually, I made it far enough that I did some AMA stuff, and I was at Sonoma, and Doug Poland crashed his GSXR and caught turn 11 on fire. So I'm sitting down, this before tire warmers. So I'm sitting down, and I look over, and this little kid staring at me. And I go, "Hey, what's up?" And he goes, "Hey." I said, "You're riding?" And he goes, "Yep." And I said, "Wow, that's pretty cool. How long you been riding for?" "Oh, I've been riding since I was a little kid." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yep." He goes, and Dion was like a 1, right, at the time. So I go, "Yep." And he goes, and we talked a little bit, and I go, "What's your name?" He goes, "My brother rides for the Kawasaki team." And I said, "Really?" I go, "What's your name?" He goes, "I'm Nicky Hayden." I said, "Well, it's very nice to meet you, Nicky." So I get my new bike. At the end of the season, I get my new bike. My first ever brand new bike. Usually everything was hand-me-downs. Actually, my buddy Bobby McCarthy gave me my first race bike. So I sat there and I turned around and went out, and I had my first brand new bike. And Dion had always, now Dion's he's about 2 years old. And I kind of knew he had the bug because like 6, 7 months, 8 months, his mom was going to go shopping with the family. And I just got the brand new 3-hour. Remember, they used to make the 3-hour year in reviews of MotoGP. I just got my MotoGP video, and and he's fussing, and he's been fussing all day. And he's, if you have a problem, just call me. We're good. So I sit down and I go, "Hey, check this out, buddy." And I slapped the video in and hit play, and it started going on. The music came on, the bike started going, and Dion stopped and did not move for 3 hours, just staring at the TV. And I looked over at him. I said, "Yep, that's my boy." And so when now he's older, and he would help me with, I got him his 50 already, so he's past 2 because he got his Z50 when he was 2, and I'd ride around with him sitting in front of me, and his hands would be on the bars, elbows up, and taught him everything, wrist up, and he'd have to work the controls and stuff. And it was funny was that when I raced, that I'd go up and I picked up my tires, and I rode for Michelin at the time. And I said, "Hey, buddy, yeah, Michelin." And he'd buzz me through the pits, right, on the 50. And it was so funny to watch that Eric Bostrom and Ben Bostrom were having lunch, and they, hey, they called Dion over, and he stopped over. And they go, "Dude, that is awesome." So they signed his helmet. They absolutely loved him. They talked to him, and he loved it. At this time, his godfather, Sage Wilkinson, he was working for Muzzy. He was Doug Chandler's mechanic. And Doug was super nice to Dion and gave him lots of posters and pucks and stuff, and all signed it. And still today, like over the weekend, "Hey, how's it going?" He went out of his way to say hi to Dion. And Doug and what is it? Kenny Roberts, right? Dion has a good relationship with Kenny Roberts, they've always been top-notch class acts when it comes to, being good people. So Dion comes up to, I'm working on the bike, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, Dad." And I go, "Yeah, what's up, buddy? I want to race." And I looked at him, and he's like 2.5. And I go like this, "Okay, well, you have to pick a number. You can't pick 1 through 10. It has to be past 10 because you have to earn those numbers." And I go, "So you go think of a number. And when you think of a number, we'll go to the store and we'll go get you numbers for your 50. And without even I'm figuring, little kid, squirrel, and he's off
Right.
to the races. He looks at me without hesitation. He goes, "I want 95. I go, "95? I go, "Buddy, that's my number." And he goes, "Yeah, because I'm going to be like you when I grow up." And I looked at him. I looked at my brand new bike. I looked at him again. And swear to God, the only thing that could go through my head right now is Nicky Hayden going, "I've been riding since I was a little kid." I said, "Okay, buddy, let's go." And I turned off the lights to the garage, walked out, and went down and bought him his numbers, and I never raced again.
Bro, what I could tell you got a little choked up right there telling that story, dude. What emotions, man. This is what this sport's about, is the grassroots of racing, the father, the son, or the father and daughter, bond, and such a unique journey, dude. I freaking love it. I've had your boy Dion on the podcast. Those that missed it, please go back and rewatch it. I am going to sit back down with him and do many podcasts with him, and I've told you this before.
Yeah.
Your son Dion's got one of the most natural talents I've ever seen on two wheels, 100%. And the type of man he is, how cool he is, how down to earth he is, how he handles all his fans, and in life in general, is all because of you. That's all a true statement of the man you are.
Oh,
So congratulations, dude. You're welcome, bro. Seriously, it's like we got Nate Erb up in here in the comments right now. What's going on, Nate? He says, "Wow, Nicky Hayden at a young age. Cool to see him grow in the sport. Wish I started my son that early." So I just had his son, Ricardo, on my podcast. He's in the Talent Cup. Nate, I was supposed to make it to VIR today for precision, but we have no AC in our house. So I've been out there with my buddy all day in this heat trying to get the AC fixed, and it's still not working. So that's why I didn't make it out there today. But sorry I missed you guys out there at VIR. But yeah, it's I'd have done the same thing with my son. When I had my son, I named him Hayden Rossi, of course, after Nicky Hayden and Valentino Rossi. And I had the whole aspirations like, yes, I want him to race. He's going to be this. He's going to do that. Of course, he loves going to the races and hanging out with Dion and seeing everybody and doing all that. But as far as, he's got a brand new dirt bike he's ridden like 5 times, bro. And I don't push it. Did it break my heart some? Of course it did. I feel like as a parent, Bill, every dad and every mom wants to pass one passion that they have to share with their kids, right? But I realize that my son's his own unique individual, and maybe one day he'll get the bug and he'll say, "I'm ready to ride," and I'll be like, "Let's go," right? But right now, that's not so much the case. But for you, my friend, yeah, he's all Fortnite and blah 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 blah. Which is
actually
fine.
Dion never owned a video game until we met Kenny and Dion dirt tracked. But here. So we did BMX. So Dion is 5-time national champion, 6-time world champion. He won at like 6 years old. He turned factory and rode for Mike Redmond from Redmond Yamaha Wave Runner. And we went 3 years, the last 3 years, never losing a moto, never losing anything. Actually, we rode against Andrew Lee and them back in the day in BMX. And Dion he was like way advanced for his time in BMX. And I sat there and I turned around and he told me, he goes, "Dad." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, I'm done with this. I'm done. He goes, I have no more challenges. He goes, I have no competition. He goes, I want to move up. I want to go back to motorcycle racing because we were racing at Club Moto because they had a speedway dirt track, and they said that was it, that they're going full motocross, and they're still open doing full motocross. But that's where Dion started at 3 so we went to Lodi. Lodi sat there and they said, no, he can't touch the ground. He can't race. And I sat there and I said, well, yeah, but what happens is I hold him by the fender. When you guys flag him, I let go. He takes off. He races. And then at the end of the race, he'll ride over to me and he'll come up right to me. And then I'll go back to the pits with him. And they said, no, he can't touch the ground. He can't race. So that's why we took our leave and went to BMX. And I figured 2 wheels and hand and eye coordination, what could go wrong with that? And he just destroyed everybody. And so I got him a KTM bike out of Los Angeles. And Mike was nice enough to go over to the house and look at the bike. And he goes, yeah, it's real nice. And so
65, little KTM.
Yeah,
65.
KTM 65. And so I sat there, I said, cool. So I went down, picked it up, we went and did a clinic because Dion used to teach BMX, and did the clinic, and then did a race at Lake Paris. And they sat there and we left. The BMX industry erupted. They sat there and there was all over the chat boards. Dion Campbell had a KTM 65 in the back of his truck. He won't be here next year. And so the funny thing was that our friend Brendan Crawford, he did BMX with us. He trained a lot with Dion, and he went to motocross. And we went flat track and supermoto. And so we went to go support Brandon at a motocross race, and we were walking through, and this lady comes up to me. She goes, excuse me. I said, yeah. She goes, are you Dion Campbell's dad? I said, oh, yeah, I am. She goes, oh, you don't race motocross, do you? And I go, no, why? And she goes, oh, okay, good, because you drove us out of BMX. she goes, and we really like this sport. And I said, oh, no, ma'am. I go, we do flat track supermoto. And Terry Baisley was one of the owners of Fly. He offered Dion a ride to go to motocross. He goes, dude, I'll get you the bikes. I'll get you the trainers and get you. He goes, dude, I'll get you going. And Dion's like, no, I got to go to supermoto and flat tracking because I want to be a road racer. And his biggest thing was, I want to be like Nikki. And it was cool because they got some pictures of Dion. And Dion always has this picture of Nikki Hayden on a CRF 450 flat tracking. And you'd put their picture and Nikki's picture and Dion's picture, and they're identical. Dion was on a CR 85 at the time. And which brings up that we got that. So we went to a clinic in Stockton, and we hear the motorcycles, and Dion goes, "Oh, I want to go." And so we go over, and it's the end of our year. Our contract's done at the end of this year with Yamaha, the Wave Runner team. And so we show up, and we're looking, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, "Wow, this is pretty cool," And this kid goes up to Dion. He goes, "Hey," and Dion's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Don't you do the BMX over there?" And Dion goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, you jumped over my head the other day." And Dion goes, "Oh, sorry about that." And he goes, "No, dude, that was pretty cool." And so he goes like this. Dion goes, "Oh, really?" And they talked a little bit. And he goes, "My name's Bobby Fong." And Dion goes, "Oh, I'm Dion Campbell." And so Bobby turns around and tells his dad, "Hey, Dad, this is the kid from the BMX place that was jumping everything." And they sat there and they talked a little bit. So Bobby Fong's dad comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Pretty good. How are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, your son says you got a KTM 65." I said, "Yeah, he wants to go do this and stuff." And he goes, "Right on." He goes, "Well, what have you not won in BMX?" I said, "We won everything." Little conceited, and we won everything. We won everything there is to win in BMX 4 or 5 times over. And Bobby Fong's dad looked at me straight in the face. He goes, "Then what the F are you waiting for?" And I looked at him, and we just got back from doing the grands. So Dion tied up his 5th championship. And I looked at him. I said, "You know what? You're right. What am I waiting for?" So we never raced BMX again. And so we went straight to Supermoto, and then we were doing some Lodi, a lot of TT out at Lodi. I didn't like the blue groove, to be honest. I liked more of a cush. So because it lets the bike slide around more, and it's not just in it, pin it, turn, slide it, back it in a little bit, pin it, and just hold on. The cush makes you work it. It makes you work for it more, especially when it turns into pea gravel and blue groove not blue groove, but blue. It gets that dry slick. I love those tracks. Actually, to be honest, right? This is one of our secrets. Is Hollister Hills, the TT track? You can't beat it. It's the best place to go train for road racing because it's dry slick, and then when they water it, it's even worse. And it's perfect place to go road race training.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of flat track. I tell everybody it's one of the best ways to train for road racing because you don't have the front brake, right? But you're constantly on that level of tucking the front because you're just constantly finding that grip to maintain speed, right? Finding that to where you can get on the throttle, make that rear tire grip and dig, and actually get that momentum forward, and you're sliding constantly. And then when you get on the pavement and you're going in there and you go into a corner a little too much front and it starts to tuck a little bit, you're not scared. It's like us going shooting, right? It's that muscle memory, right? It's the more you train, the more seat time you have, the more you do it, the more it comes second nature, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So we were going through. Dion won a bunch of stuff out at AFM. We got to race minis, so we're blessed enough that back in the day, we were racing Stockton with Elena Myers, and we used to race a lot with Cameron Bobier, and
that's a name I ain't heard in a minute, Bill. Elena Myers.
Yeah. Joey, Skinny Jeans Pasquarillo, and
yep.
so we had a good group of kids that were fast out there back in the day. And I had me and one of the other dads had a little word, and Cameron's dad comes over and he goes, "Hey." I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And I thought he was going to complain to me, and and he goes, "What is it called?" Yeah. He goes, "Your kid's super fast." And I'm all, "Thanks." And he goes, "Don't ruin it by being a jerk." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "You got to calm down a little bit." And he goes, "Be cool." He goes, "And good things will happen for your kid." So I sat there and I'm like, "Oh, all right." And so I hung out with Jeff, and Dion hung out with Cameron, and they were very good people, good Christian people. People you want to spend your time with. And Dion bought the 97 RS 125 from Cameron. And then later on, when Cameron went to Spain, we bought the 05 from him, and got that RS 125 from him. And I used to joke around with Dion. I said, "Listen, man, you better hope that Cameron doesn't ever sell his underwear, because you'll end up with that too, because he bought everything else from him. But no, they've been good people to us, and they helped out Dion and Cameron. When Dion's having a hard time, Dion goes over and talks to Cameron, and but they hammered it out. They've hammered it out on the track. They had a real good race when they were younger at the World Championships in Supermoto, where Cameron edged Dion, but they had a good battle all the way to the checkered flag. Cameron was always a good rider, and Dion would come up to me and tell me, "Dad," I'm all like, "Yeah, buddy, what's up?" He goes, "Dude, Cameron's bike is so fast." So, "Well, ride your bike harder." Okay. And that was my excuse. You don't like it? Ride the bike harder.
Ride it harder, baby. I love it, dude. Yeah. Real quick, Jeff Bobier, dude, absolutely amazing human being.
Yes.
Had him on my podcast. For those that missed it, go back and check that out. I actually got Cameron Bobier's front fairing right here, and his tail section up there that I told Jeff and Cam when I seen him in Atlanta and I got this big poster from the dealership down the road. They were going to throw all this shit away. It was I think Cam won the champion on the 600. Anyway, I'm going to bring it, and Jeff and Cam, we're going to take pictures and get them to sign it, which I'd like to get something from Dion too, so I can display it up here in the podcast room as well. For sure.
Yeah, right on. We can make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, dude, it's real quick, let me ask you this. Racer dads, man, you amongst all the other racer dads in the paddock, whatever paddock it may be, flat track, dirt bike, BMX, whatever, do you have those dad rivalries, or does everybody get along with everybody, or how does that work?
To be honest, in BMX, it was the worst. Oh my God. It was like nobody ever cut an umbilical cord. We actually, we literally, so in BMX, it was so bad that we had dads, like, okay, I got in trouble, believe it or not, but I got in trouble, and I had got kicked out of the races. And so Dion's stepbrother sat there, and Dion and Daniel had to go up to the gate by himself. So they're sitting there in the chute, getting ready to go to their race, for Dion's motor to start. And dads were talking, go over on Dion, go over and take out Dion. And when you come out of the gate, go over on Dion. And kids are like, "I'm not going over on Dion. He will crash you. I'm not doing that." Because I used to, there's a lot of bumping, BMX, rubbing, racing. And so I used to have Dion do 10 crate sprints with his stepbrother and this other kid that was 16, and Dion's like 7 and 8. You guys got to hit 5 times before you get done with the 10 cranks or 100 push-ups. And they would just hammer each other right there on the street in front of the house. So bumping and knocking over a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old was nothing to Dion, especially when it came to somebody his own size. Dude, he's knocked people into the bleachers that tried to take him out. And I was told, Dion, and this is how we still race today. If you can beat me straight up, hey man, more power to you. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to tee you up. I'm not going to do nothing. I would rather lose, and that's why I left Dion's bikes bone stock, right? His practice bikes, his flat tracker from Bobby, because that's where we got our supermoto bike from. Was from Bobby Fong. That bike had some engine modifications, right? But all of his practice bikes and his flat trackers and all that were bone stock. And I said, hey, if they can beat you head up, then you just need to ride harder. You need to figure out how to beat these guys. And so that's where you see a lot of Dion's late braking and riding it on the steering lock to get by somebody comes from. It's because I'd run Dion in the 250 class when he was on his 85. And like Brock, I think the last year that Dion raced Supermoto full season, he won the 250, 450 championship on an 85. And he qualified at the state line race on his 85 for the 250 Pro Main. And it was funny because what's that guy's name from KTM? His name fades me right now. But race started. 2 laps in, everybody's still really tight. Comes in, boom, spins Dion out. And after the race, he goes up to Dion and he goes, "Hey." And Dion's like, "Hey," because the Dion went from last and went all the way back up to 8th place, right? And he tells Dion, he goes, "Hey, man." And he goes, Dion's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, all my sponsors here. I can't have some kid on an 85 beat me." He goes, "That just doesn't look good for me." And Dion's all, "Oh, yeah, not a problem." So Sunday's races come by. Dion does his races, goes into the pro race. Second lap in, Dion comes in, dirt tracker style, boom, tucks the front, hits his back tire, spins him out, and then sits there, turns around, and goes out. And Dion finished like 5th in that race. And comes up, goes off pulls off the track, pulls right up to him again, says, "Hey." And the guy's like looking at him like, "Dude." And Dion's all, "Sorry about that, but I can't let you get away with something like that and think I'm not coming back for you." And so I sat there. I said, "All right, well, he's a full-grown adult and he should know better." But I sat there and he doesn't have any problems, rubbing, but we always grew up with this, "Hey, dude, if somebody can beat you because they're a better rider than you, then they beat you. We're not going to block. We're not going to cheat and try to take somebody out and stuff like that. We're not that kind of people." Him and Cameron used to battle and go out and hammer at each other. And they never went after each other to take each other out. It was very respectful riding and racing together. And so, like right now, thank God for all that flat tracking, is we've been having a little bit of rear end problem, keeping the rear end from, it's skittering around a little bit. So it's getting better. So we've been getting some help. And Bryce has been working hard with Dion, and we're going through electronics, and we're trying to figure out what the problem is. But it was like, this guy came up to Dion on Sunday morning, Sunday when they're doing autographs. And Dion's, "Oh, yeah." And he's all, "How are you doing?" "I'm doing great. And Dion's all, "Oh, nice." Right on, talking to him. He goes, Dion's all, "Where are you sitting at?" And he goes, "Well, I was right there going into the chicane." He goes, "But I had to move because you scared the life out of me going into the chicane sideways in the rain." He goes, "I couldn't take it." And Dion's all, "Oh, yeah, sorry about that." But he's so like Dion met Jake Zimke when he was little, when he rode for Bruce's Transportation. Yep. And Jake was so nice and modest, and the Boston brothers were so modest, and Doug Chandler and them were so modest and polite to him that Dion, we would walk around the pits and nobody else would be out. Nobody would be out in front of their trucks. Nobody would be out wandering around. You couldn't find anybody, especially at Laguna. And Dion's all, "Dude, I'm never going to do that." He goes, "When I ride, I'm going to be available for people because, that's why I'm here. I'm here to see people. I'm not here to see a bunch of mechanics work on everybody's bikes, watch them ride like the MotoGP guys. They'll come out, they'll ride, and then they'll go right back in. They might sign a couple autographs." He goes, "But I'm always going to make myself readily available to everybody."
That's a huge deal, because I know, let's see, I had 2 run-ins with people that I really looked up to in the paddock. I've had more than that, but I'm not going to mention any names but these 2. One was Casey Stoner. Met Casey Stoner at Indy. Huge fan of Stoner's. Had a matter of fact, this that poster right there, right, is signed by Marco Melandri and Casey Stoner when they were teammates. So we're at Indy.
Nice.
I walk up to him. I'm like, Stoner, longtime fan. Dude, you don't mind signing this poster for me? He looks at me, says, not going to do it, mate, and turns around. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, what an asshole. I mean, I'm just going to go on and say it, right? Like, what? So
Yeah.
you right now? Like, you don't know where I'm from, how much money I paid to be here, any of that, right? So my heart was like, I was hurt. So I turned around. My brother was with me. He had his girlfriend. So I handed her the poster. I was like, hey, can you get Stoner to sign this for me? She walked straight up to him, says, hey, can you sign this for me? And he looks right at me and signs the poster, staring at me, and hands it back to her and says, here you go, right? Because he knew it was for me, I guess. And I was just like, okay. The second was Jorge Lorenzo. I met Jorge, Indy, and I got everybody knows I love Rossi, right? So I have my Rossi hat, Rossi shirt on. Here comes Jorge. I'm like, Jorge, dude, it'd be an honor. Can I please get a picture? So he didn't say nothing. He walks in the medical center. The guy on the back, I guess it's his little buddy, whatever, that goes to all his races, says, hey, I'll get Jorge to get a picture with you, but you got to take off your Rossi hat and your Rossi shirt. And him and Rossi don't get along. I take it you're a Rossi fan. So I had to make up something quick just get a picture. I said, no, actually, my dad's a huge Rossi fan. He bought me the hat and the shirt to come out here to the race. It's my first time here, which I totally lied, right? I've been in many of them. Just to get the picture, he said, well, take the hat and take the shirt off. So I got a picture with Jorge Lorenzo with no shirt on and no Rossi hat on just to get the picture of the Jorge. But after that, I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never like it's to me. I feel like racers need to be there for the fans too, right? Because without us buying your merch and supporting you, who do you got in your corner, right? Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, I'm never doing that again. I kind of felt shameful to myself for even doing that, but I wanted the picture, right?
Yeah.
But dude, so have you or Dion had any of those experiences yourself within the industry? People you guys met?
Actually, yeah. So Dion was probably about three or four, and he goes up and he goes up to his godfather Sage and goes, "Hey, how's it going?" Da 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 da, chit chat, and they're talking, and Sage gives him a hug and stuff, and good seeing you, buddy. And they're talking, and Aaron Yates walks up, and he's Aaron Yates' mechanic at the time, and Aaron goes, "Hey, is the bike almost done? We're going to dinner." And Dion and Sage goes, "Oh yeah, I'm all done." He goes, "Hey, this is my godson, Dion. He's going to be a motorcycle racer, and he loves motorcycle racing." Da 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 da. Aaron Yates doesn't even look down at him, right? Because he's 3, so he's like kneecap high, and turns around and just walks away. And Dion just sat there and looked at him like he was like deflated. And I was like, and to be honest, Doug Chandler walks up. "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" Hands Dion a puck. "Here you go. How's it going? It's good to see you back." And Dion's like, "Oh, thanks," because he went from Doug's bike to Aaron's bike. That's how Muzzy moved him. So years later, Dion does really good on the 1000 for the first time, and Aaron comes over because we out qualified and beat his son. Aaron comes over and he's talking to Sage, and he turns around and looks at Dion. He's like, "Hey, good job!" And Dion just turned around and walked away. And I looked at Dion. I said, "Hey," I go, "Dude, he was talking to you. That's like hella rude." Yeah, people don't forget, Dad. What are you, part elephant? What?
Love that.
But since then, Dion's talked to Aaron, and I don't think Aaron knows. Aaron be like, "I don't remember that."
I don't remember that.
But yeah. So Dion had that little bit of spite, but that's all done with. Other than that, no. I've been, we've had everybody's been pretty good with us, and the pros were good to us. Nikki was really good to Dion. because we thought about doing a little bit of motocross, but too many kids were getting injured and killed at the time. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then I thought, okay, we can go do some more flat tracking. And I think Dion, because we had a ride offer to go flat tracking, and Dion he's always had his heart set on being a road racer. And when Nikki got hurt, it devastated him. Because Dion was sponsored by Repsol at the same time that Nikki was. And we were there, and they did the interview up there at Laguna in the Repsol tent, and they talked. And it was funny because they sat there and they gave these instructions that when you're done, don't swarm Nikki, stand in line, they'll give you an autograph, and go, they basically, don't mug the kid, right? And so everybody did. They all lined up, and Nikki got done, talked to the announcer a little bit, and then he comes stepping off the stage and takes 2 steps over, looks over at Dion and says, "Hey, how's it going, buddy? How you doing, Dion?" And Dion's all, "Pretty good. How you doing?" And they talked because they'd met a few times. And actually, Dion still has Nikki's autograph on the front of his Z50 that he still has the Z50. And he won't let that thing go. It's my first bike, and it has Nikki Hayden's autograph. That bike's going to be with me forever. And so, it devastated Dion when he passed. And so, I think as a dad, right, one of my biggest fears is, and we've had this happen to us, is knowing somebody that dies. The kid was just a kid came and visited Dion, and they were chit-chatting it up in the pits, and the kid turns around and looks at Dion. He goes, "I'll be right back. I got to go do my race." And Dion's, "All right, good luck. Go have fun." And the kid takes off and crashes and landed up passing. And Dion's like, "Ooh, okay." And every time Dion's had a major crash, hey, yeah, you've achieved a lot of championships. You still got a lot of lap records. It's up to you if we keep going. I'm not putting any pressure on you. No, Dad, I love this. This is what I want to do. So, and we've had both collarbones broken. He had a crash at Podium Club where he crashed when we were at it was like one of our first weekends with the BPR team, and Ben Hodges crashed, and Dion, he had the choice: run over Ben's legs and jack up Ben, or try to miss the bike. And so Dion went to go miss the bike and miss Ben, and the bike spun around and subframe caught him, and he flipped him over the bars. And actually, Rainey from our team, her GoPro caught a picture of Dion going over the bars with the bike still between his legs as it pile drived him into the ground. Broke his clavicle, top 2 ribs. And that was the longest drive home from Arizona.
I bet.
But he's done both collarbones, dislocation and fracture of the hip, and broke the pelvis. So he has a plate in the pelvis. He has a plate on both clavicles. He's broke the left wrist 3 times. He has a plate on the wrist. His last one he did was in motocross, just practicing. Broke all 4 metatarsals, so he had pins down down each metatarsal and one across to keep the hand straight. And then they had a plate in the wrist, and that was because he was avoiding somebody that was coming over on him, and he jumped and he got pushed off the track, off the triple, and backhanded the ground, bam, and broke his wrist and hand. What else have we gotten? Chuckwalla, we landed up. He did a high side. He hobbled over. He goes, no, I think I'm pretty cool. And the girl goes, okay, well, let's take your leathers all the way off. She took his leathers down, and just past the knee on his leg was from an impact. His leg exploded open. So we're like, ooh, yes, we're going to emergency. So we packed up from Chuckwalla and went to emergency, and they had to do surgery and get the air out of the knee socket. But every time he goes out, I always tell him, every time he goes out, that's why I go to the side of the track, give him a kiss. Hey, buddy, give him a hug and kiss. I love you. I'm proud of you. Go on, because you never know. That's the last time. This is the last thing I might ever say to my son. And I know this, and it pulls on you every time they do it.
That's part of the sport that a lot of people don't talk about. And this is my thing. We know the risk. We know the dangers of going into the sport. Motorcycle racing is dangerous. Yes, we get it. Skydiving dangerous. Shit, driving in your car down the street is dangerous, right? But we accept the consequences. We're just never ready when it happens.
Yes.
Right? That's the best way I can explain it to people. It's like people know that the TT is my favorite race ever on the planet. They're like, dude, it's just this, it's that. It's like, no. You're looking at it completely different. You're looking at it in totally the wrong way, right? It's the riders already said, okay, Dion said to you, hey, this is what I'm doing. I don't care if I break all the bones in my body. I'm still going to do this because I'm so deeply in love with it, right? And you're like, cool. I want to see my son happy. It makes him happy. Therefore, I'm happy. But you all know the risk, right? So if anything was to ever happen to anybody out there, we're just never prepared when it happens. Even though moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, wives and kids, they all accepted the risk going into it. We're just never prepared when it happens, right? But we don't think about that. That's the last thing from our mind, But you being a dad, like you just said, every time your boy goes out there, it's you gotta always tell him I love you, have fun, and I'll see you when you get back, right? Because you never know, might not come back, right? It's part of the beauty of our sport. It really is, right? Because you got to, being a dad, watching your kid grow up on two wheels and be in races. Obviously, there's a lot of risk involved, but how do I want to say this, Bill? I feel like for all the dads out there in road racing and in any physical sport like that, it's like you kind of let them go already to a certain point, because you need to let them be out there and have fun and do those speeds and be successful, right? If you keep them in this little bubble and not let them go out there, Dion wouldn't be where he is, I guess. Is a good way. Content. Did I do okay? I'm kind of explaining that, right?
Well, I also, so because I've ridden and I do ride, when he was younger, right? When he was younger, 65, 80, up till he got on the 125. I used to go out there and ride with him. We'd go through Hollister Hills and go jam down the trails and stuff. And and people would ask him, dude, where do you get all this cornering speed from? And he goes, I had to, because if I slowed down too much to get the bike, let the bike settle down and get that perfect turn or something. He goes, my dad would run the bike up the inside of me and rub me with the tire and pick it up, you're parking it, burp, and I'd be on it on my 450. And then after a while, I'm like, and I'd get your elbows, and I'd be screaming out, get your elbows up, look up, do this, do that. And it was basically, I'd harass him all the way around the park. And he would get to the point that he rode that 85 so hard. That's why I had to move him to the CR125. Is that we're getting ready, we're going to go ride one day, and I kind of glanced down, I'm like, the heck? I hopped down and I looked. Oh, we're not riding today. And turned off the bike. He goes, what? And I go, dude, 3 out of the 4 motor mounts on your CR125 are broken off. Or off the 85 are broken off the frame. Now, how did you not notice that when you cleaned it? And Dion's all, I'm sorry, I was, tired. And I'm like, yeah, we got to pay attention to that. And then I bought him a new frame, and he did the same thing to the next friend. And so that the time we're good with Cameron and them. And I told Cameron's dad, he goes, well, you have to get a bigger bike that he doesn't break. And then he goes, but remember, bigger bikes come bigger accidents. And I go, oh. I thought about it and I said, all right. So when we got the 125, he went out and and the reason we were with the Hondas is Bobby Fong's dad said, dude, if you can ride a CR85 wide open everywhere you go, then you can ride anything. And I'm like, okay. And then, so the same thing with the 125. You can ride a CR 125, then you can ride wide open, you can ride anything. So, but even still today, Dion rides 2-strokes. He doesn't ride a 4-stroke. On the supermoto bikes, a 4-stroke. But all of his dirt bikes, always been 2-strokes, always are 2-strokes.
I love it, man. Get to a comment real quick. Nate Herb says, always tell Ricard, I love you and come back to me safe. Yeah, absolutely, man. And then Robert Maxwell says, you got to tuck it once. Yeah, we've all been there for sure. We've all been there. 110%. Dude, so tell everybody, man, what role do you play on Dion's team?
I help. So we got this really, really great mechanic, Chris. Chris is he's like a whole crew chief, or he's like a whole pit crew in one person. And so I get to help do changes, basically whatever Bryce tells us to do, because Bryce is Dion's, which Bryce has saved us. He's the crew chief for Dion this year. And, we just have one little problem that keeps sneaking up on us, and that's the back end skittering around. And it's been doing it the whole year. And we're still trying to figure out what we've changed electronics, we've changed throttles, throttle body. We're changing all this stuff. So gone through the slipper clutch. So I don't know what they're working on now, because they're back in Bakersfield, redoing all the bikes, getting ready for Laguna. But I help suspension changes, pull the shock, springs, stuff like that, change tires. What is it called? I do little stuff here and there, Bryce and like I said, Chris, he's a machine. They're mainly the main players. Dion and Bryce have a good communication with each other. They, because they're both racers and they both have a similar riding style. That Dion explains to Bryce what the problem is, and Bryce, can figure it out and gets the bike, and he got the bike pretty much. The only thing we haven't figured out is why the back end's, every time Dion's on the brakes hard, the bike goes sideways. And people are like, oh, yeah. At Road America, it was so cool watching you come into this turn at 145. Like a photographer posted it. It was beautiful watching Dion back the bike in at 145 miles an hour. Dion's like, and that wasn't by choice. and so we have little things that we need to, as soon as we figure out the little things, get the little things straight, then I think Dion will be unstoppable. It's like Dion was, he was all over Andrew in the rain with the back end still sliding. Yeah. And as soon as we get that figured out, then I think it's going to be a game of try to catch Dion. To be honest,
I do too, 110%. Do you think that maybe the rear, you guys, you think it has to do anything with the front of the bike, with the rear moving so much?
Bryce and them have gone from stiffer springs to lighter springs. I think they're going to put a brand new, I don't know. They're just going to put a whole brand new slipper clutch in it and see if there was a problem with the slipper clutch, or if it's a problem that they got too much. I think Bryce, Monday, they discovered that when you roll out of the gas, that the throttle position sensor doesn't taper down slow, right? It just drops. It goes from 100% to 10%. And so that's where they're saying you're getting the rear end to lock up.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And my thing was, well, if the rear end's locking up, the slipper clutch should be doing its thing and slipping. That was my question. But again, I don't know how this works. Bryce and them are the genius, and they figure it out. Basically, I'm the go-to. Hey, yeah, do this to the bike. Yes, sir. And I go and change it. So, and they've been on top of it, man. They gave Dion a strong package this year. So we got to do some from the bone stock bike. We got to put some horsepower under Dion. So now Dion, from riding the stock bike and trying to make the stock bike work, now when he does the same riding on the stronger bike, it makes him even faster. So one of the guys, actually Waters, went up to Dion. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, and this was a big light switch for Dion. He goes, when you come out of the corner and you square the bike up and get it up on the tire and throttle, he goes, I can go right by you on my BMW. He goes, but when you run this thing through the corner like a 600 and you start to, work the throttle on, he goes, I don't have anything for you at the end of the straightaway. He goes, I just have enough to catch up to you. So Dion looked at me and he goes, well, that means a lot more of that. He goes, it's hard to get that past them when they're faster bikes. So he's done a lot of learning, and Bryce saved us because, to be honest, we weren't coming back to Moto America. We were coming back. Dion wanted to come back in his terms. I just wanted to go beat up on some 600s. And he goes, so he got his R6 and went out and started, doing his thing. He went to some AFM, and one of the guys at a flooring shop, the flooring shop down at Chuckwalla, offered Dion a sponsorship to get him down to Chuckwalla. And Dion said, I've never been there. So he went out, and his first day there, he landed up doing after practice on Friday, and then on Saturday he threw down like a 45.3 on his 600, and he got fourth in the open class. And that was the bummer part, is because Dion's always ran like Formula Pacific on the 600 and stuff. And so when that's a 600, and then that's just Dion though. Dion does that kind of stuff, and he does, and he goes, oh yeah. So Dion's godfather's all Sage goes, yeah, well, people expect that from Dion because he's just doing Dion things. That's what Dion does. So, which we owe the world to Sage, because when 2012, I was working, and I got ran over by a truck, and the guy tried to kill me. So I landed up on disability, and Sage stepped up and built Dion's first R6 and took him out. It was actually funny. So I dropped Dion off in Oregon. They start tearing the bike apart. And so I come back because I have doctor's appointments. I wasn't ran over yet. So I was sitting there, and I came back to work, and I was working at a place, and I got ran over, and my boss calls Dion and tells Dion that I got ran over and that they're going to the trauma unit to go see if I'm alive. And Dion's panicking because he's in Oregon and no way back to California. But it was funny was that, so Dion Sage was a Dunlop dealer at the time at the track. So Dion was swapping tires for him and, balancing tires and basically, exploiting him for his teenage labor. Just kidding. But
that's part of the game.
Yeah. So the next day I come in, I'm new because I'm freshly divorced. I'm new to Facebook. I pull up Facebook and I see all these pictures of this R6 that looks like it's been through hell and back. And I'm thinking, wow, that bike is beat. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I said, dude, who would go buy leathers for your kid that are like 4 sizes too big? It's like dressing your kid in his dad's suit to go to a wedding. I'm like, and then I sat down and looked. Wait a minute, that's Dion's riding style. Pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, Sage, yeah. How did you get Dion out on a bike? Oh, well, I know the people that had the track day, and we borrowed Rothenberg's bike, and and I sat there and I tell Dion, yeah, dude, you're not supposed to be riding. I'm up there. And he's, oh, sorry, Dad, but and it was his first time on a 600 out at the track. And by the end of his first day, or like about 3 or 4 sessions into the day, he was already at the lap times. There was the winning lap times of the 600s out there. And so one minute you're like, yes. The next minute you're like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. So you're caught in the middle. You're not supposed to be doing that, but yes, good job. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, no more track days without me being there. Then a couple days later, I got ran over. So then what was supposed to be a 1-week trip ended up being a 2-week trip because I had to, recuperate a little bit before I went back to up to Oregon to go get Dion. But Sage saved us because he kept Dion's his whole team afloat. He built the bikes. He built the motors. He did. He had Lines Machining from up north in Oregon. They did all the valve job and all that. And Sage was a huge savior to our team. If it wasn't for Sage, then I don't know where we would have been. It's like God puts the right people in our area when we need them. So he gave us Sage, and Sage saved us. And then when we went back to racing, because we only went back to racing for fun, because I want to go have some fun. And then him and Bryce, they got this thing going. And then the next minute, they went from, all right, we're having fun at the club races, goofing off, to, hey, did you see that? And Dion and Bryce started goofing off. And honestly, the first year of Moto America, back to Moto America, started out as a joke. Oh, yeah. I see that the stock 1000 class, because Dion actually went on the he wasn't supposed to ride the R1. He was supposed to be groomed to ride the R9. And because middleweight bikes, Dion's a middleweight assassin. He rides the R6 like it's a 125. And a flat track in 125. He did a lot of sliding. And that's what he did. He goes, if I'm paying for racing, I want to go out and race the way I want to race. Because, him and Kenny get along. And Kenny talks about, racing isn't what it used to be. And so Dion's all, I want to race the way I want to race. I want to slide into the corner. I want to hit the apex. I want to fire that back end off and slide out of the corner. And so we got an R6. Actually, we had a ZX10 that Dion had problems with. Him and the ZX10 didn't see eye to eye. And we sat there. We had a buddy that had a R6 and turned around and said, hey, you want to trade? And he rode the ZX10 we called Fifi. And he rode Fifi, and he's all like, oh, wow, this is scary. All right. So we did it. We swapped. And then Dion just went out and just hammered down on people because that's what he likes to do. He likes to just go hammer down on people. And then Bryce came up and talked to him because we're having a little electronic problem with the bike. And so Bryce fixed the electronic problem. And then we sat there, we chit chatted a little bit, and actually Bryce and Dion did. And next thing you know, they're off and running at AFM. And then Bryce said, "Hey, I need somebody to help me score these points and keep this person off me for the last round of the AFM to bring home the number one plate." So he's all, "I'm going to put you on the R1 and, just to do it." And Dion's like, "All right." So Dion rode the R1 for the first time and went like pretty ridiculous fast on it. And then, the next thing you know, they're joking about how many rounds were on the West Coast of Moto America for Stock 1000. And next thing you know, we're going to Moto America. And then it grew from there. That's when the next year Josh jumped in, and then we had Teague Hobbs, and now we have Brendan, and
Yep.
we have a good and Andy DeBrino. So we have a good group of people, good group of racers. It's pretty much the West Coast connection of who's who, and that's it. At times, it's like Dion's all, he'd like to race the R9, he'd like to race a middleweight bike, but Dion doesn't care. He'd race a GoPed if you gave him one. It doesn't matter to him. He'd race anything.
I love it, man. I love it, dude. Your boy, like I said again, has one of the most natural, talented racers I've ever seen in my life. He's absolutely incredible. Dude, your guys' journey's been absolutely amazing. This is one thing that I love to do is get everybody's story out there, because they're kind of the same, but they're all unique in their own way, right? And the path that everybody takes to end up where they are is absolutely amazing. And I often quite say that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a racer too, as well. And it's all those little puzzle pieces that have to come together in order to make up that complete picture, right? Whether you make it to a club race or a Moto America race or whatever, it's important to have those certain people in your corner to help you get there, because nobody can do it all on their own. Right. A lot of people say that motorcycle race is an individual sport. And I'm like, nah, bro. The only time it's an individual sport when the rider's out there and that visor goes down. That's it. Other than that, it is absolutely a team sport. 110%. It takes everybody to come together to set up to, for one, get there, right? Then set everything up, then put in the effort to set the bike up and make the rider comfortable to go out there to do what they do out there on the track. So
I think that the thing that they don't see from the dad's point of view, it's an individual sport. Yeah, you know what? You don't see the dad that works on the bike all night, that gets the bike ready, that goes down. Like we used to do Friday night under the lights at Sand Hill Ranch, right? And it was a TT. So it would go circle track, TT, and then circle track the other way, and then TT the other way. And we'd go out there, we'd do Sand Hill Ranch Friday night under the lights. So, which was funny, because the first night we went, the dad that ran the place, right? They were the owners of it. He was kind of abrupt, and he comes out, and Dion went out, and Dion goes, "Oh," and he wanted to get in with the 450s and stuff. And he goes, "Hey." And Dion's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "What are you doing?" Dion's, I'm getting ready to go ride." And he goes, "Not with them. You got to go with the 85s. Get over there." And Dion's like, "Oh, all right." After that practice, he comes up and he goes, "You." Dion's all like, "Yeah." He goes, "Get in the 450 class. You scare the hell out of the kids on the 85s. But to get there, right, I would have to fix the bike, get it ready, get it set up for going out to the dirt track after I've worked all night, because I worked graveyard. And, I'd work all night, get up, fix Dion's, sleep for a couple hours, get up, fix Dion's bike, literally show up because every Friday Dion had a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock, and then pick him up from 1, and then shoot out to Sand Hill Ranch because it took us 2 hours to get out to the track, and they started at 5. So pick Dion up, throw some lunch down him. He would sleep in the car as I drove out there, and then he would go out, do his thing, then run till 10, and then pile back in the car, and then drive 2 hours, 3 hours all the way home. And that's the part that I don't think a lot of the dads get enough recognition. Oh, it's just your son's the only one to do. Yeah, well, you tell my son he better get up and start driving then. I got a parts bill he needs to pay off.
Right.
And that's the part that they don't understand. But honestly, so when I got ran over in 2012, I was on disability. So Mike from San Jose Yamaha stepped up and gave Dion a job. So Dion sat there and he did some homeschooling, and he went to work, and he worked full time at San Jose Yamaha to help pay the bills at the house and stuff. And so Dion worked and busted his butt. So he knows what it is. And motorcycle racing is not the most dangerous thing Dion does. No, Dion working with me. So I repossess cars. And so I work in Oakland. And then when I work down south, I work in Compton and Inglewood and South Central Los Angeles. And Dion works with me. So, Dion's down, as they call it, stealing cars out of the hood. And so people go like, oh my God, motorcycle racing is so dangerous. Like, that's not even the most dangerous thing he does. Going to work. Going to work's a life's venture. But he's been working with Bryce. So I opened up my own location down in Southern California just recently, and I prefer Dion to be working in the motorcycle shop than working with me. And it's kind of the other way, I give him a hug and kiss goodbye because he lives with me, and hug and kiss goodbye, see you in the morning, and I walk out the door, and he doesn't know if it's the last time he sees me.
Yeah.
Because I've been shot at and plenty of fights and stuff like that. And so, it's not, we don't live a very boring life, and like I said, stay in school because I don't make the best decisions. But that's just some of the things that we do. And that I believe that dads need to be recognized for dads and moms, because there's some moms out there that, they spend the time hauling the kids around and doing all the racing.
That's why you're sitting here right now, is to give the recognition to the dads, right? I love getting all the dads, because I'm like you. Every dad absolutely deserves recognition. The same thing as moms. I haven't had the opportunity to sit down with any racer moms out there. So if there's any racer moms out there that would love to come on the podcast, I'd love to have you on. Because again, as I said at the very beginning, man, this is the grassroots of racing. This is where it starts from, right? Father down to son, or father down to daughter, or mother and daughter and son, or however it is. It's man, Bill, in our beautiful life that we share together, it's an honor to be friends with you and Dion first and foremost. Forget the racing, but it's also such a unique journey that parents get to share with their loved ones, right? With their kids. Think about all the people in the world that would love to do what Dion's doing right now, right? That has the aspirations of doing it, that's never going to do it. So I always call it our beautiful circus. It is a very small, beautiful circus. It's the same circus across the world, right? But it's still a small circus. And every dad and son or daughter that gets to be, whether it's club racing, Moto America, BSB, whatever it is, man, it's such a unique, beautiful story, right? Such a unique, beautiful journey in life that not everybody gets to do, right? It's very few people in this world that get to do exactly what you and Dion are doing. And it's absolutely amazing. It is a beautiful story that needs to be told, man. Absolutely. Well, listen, Bill, this has been a lot of fun, dude. We're an hour and 15 minutes in this. My wife's been texting me and said, "Are you going to meet us for dinner?" I'm like, "Yeah." I just texted her back. That's why I was looking down. I was like, "Yeah, I'm almost done."
Yeah.
But listen, Bill, me and you're definitely going to sit down. We have, dude, there's so much more. I got so many more questions to ask you. Obviously, it's not going to happen today. What I'll do is I'll text you. Tomorrow's my wife's birthday. I'll shoot you a text on Sunday. We'll go ahead and set up our part two as well as Dion's, because I talked to Dion in Atlanta, told him that me and him need to sit back down together.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you give all your shout outs. But I do want to ask you just a couple questions. I'm going to save most of these for our next podcast because I already ran over and my wife's giving me a hard time about it right now.
Sorry about that, man.
Dude, you're good, bro.
I talk a lot.
Bill, I do too, right? And I have a problem of cutting it off, right? My wife's the one that's is like, "Hey, hurry up," So anyway, first question I have for you, bro, is tell us something we don't know about you at all, Bill.
I like to joke a lot. Because of the work I do and on how serious everything is with racing. That everybody always looks at me and they think, "God, he looks so angry." But I like to. I seriously, I like to joke and crack jokes and play jokes on people.
Yeah, me too, man. I like that, man. That's just part of being fun, though, right? Having fun. It's I feel like there's too many people in this world that take life too serious. Which, yeah, you got to be a grown up. You got to have a job and pay your bills. But at the end of the day, man, it's all how you make it right here, right? Is how your life's going to be. So I'm the type of person where I'm like you, man. I like to joke and have fun. We've met each other many times, the energy and all that. Like, let's go. I feel like the world would be a better place if there was more of me and you and the energy going around, right? So
yes.
Let me ask you this, dude. What's your worst habit? Mine is procrastination. I procrastinate, especially on laundry. Laundry days, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it next week. And then I'm 3 days doing nothing but laundry. So
that sounds like Dion. Dion's room looks like a laundromat threw up. I think my worst habit is when I get angry. I use foul words like punctuation. So I try not to, and I've tried to. I've been I've been doing a lot more Bible study. So I'm trying to guide myself and correct my ways of being angry too much. But using the filter, that little filter you have in your brain, this is, you really shouldn't say that. Mine broke years ago, so things just fly out my mouth. Yeah. So
I speak my mind. I wear my heart right here. I can't help it. It's just who I am, right? And
yeah.
Sometimes it just comes out, and I'm like, I apologize, but I really don't, because that's the way it meant to come out. But
yeah,
it's love me for who I am. Don't right? It's
yeah. Usually I do the I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I just didn't expect it. I didn't expect you to be that offended over it.
Right. Don't be so butthurt. Right?
To be honest, it was way worse before Cameron's dad told me, "Hey, man, you better cut it out, and you're going to ruin your kid's career." Yeah. Because at that point, I had absolutely no filter, and everything came flying out.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because being a dad makes you change your ways and think about things differently, even though we're still the same person. But there's times where people just piss you off, and dad comes out, right? The old me comes out, and it's just part of life, right? But at the end of the day, as long as I always told my son, I'm like, look, dude, we're all going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, right? But as long as you confess up to them, and whoever's feelings you hurt, you apologize sincerely, not just saying it just to make their parents happy or me happy. That's all I ask, dude. It's you only get one shot at this. Be happy, be humble, love everybody, and respect everybody, right? You do that, dude, it goes a long way, right? Being mean and pissed off all the time, it's never going to get you anywhere in life. It's not. Yeah, there's times to be mad and cuss and say how you feel, but You got to respect everyone. And all that comes back to loving and respecting yourself.
Yeah.
110%, right? You can't fall in love with somebody if you're not in love with yourself, because then it's fake, right? And listen, people, what I'm saying, you got to love yourself in order to love somebody else. Because if you don't love and respect yourself, how are you going to love and respect somebody else? You're not, right? It's all just a front. Love yourself, people, for real. Dude, what's our go-to karaoke song, my friend?
I have such a weird taste in music.
It's okay. Well, what are we singing?
Pretty much any. So now it's pretty much anything Morgan Wallen. Back in the old days, it would have been anything old Eazy-E and NWA and Ice-T. I like the old school gangster hip hop music from back in my old days before Dion. And then Sage, because our last race when Dion was on the 600, Sage drove, because we drove to every race. And so it was 9 hours of country music. And then I thought, oh, okay, some of this actually sounds pretty good. So now it's 90%, about 80% of what I listen to is country music. But when I go out at night and I work at night, I listen to my old school hip hop music. And it's kind of funny because, now living in Southern California, talking about rolling down Crenshaw, and you're actually on Crenshaw, but you're out stealing cars.
Listen to the gangster rap. Yeah, let's go.
Everybody knows who you are because you go down the street and the guys are all like, "Hey, Repo Man," and you're like, "Yeah, okay, dude, come on, don't tell everybody." But it's I pretty much any old Ice Cube, Ice-T music. So that's my go-to gangster rap, old school gangster rap, or Morgan Wallen and Florida Georgia Line and any newer country. I don't like the twangy stuff, but
yeah, I don't either. Yeah, I don't either. My wife, she's big country lover of music, and she turned me on to I like Morgan Wallen. There's like Tyler Childress, like there's some she turned me on to that I listen to. Some of it I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But I'm like you, dude. I love all music, dude. I could listen to Frank Sinatra, Bob Marley, Cypress Hill, Young Dolph. It don't right the very first Dre Chronic 2 album. Like I like stuff like that too. It's like it just depends on what mood you're in, right? It depends on what kind of music you listen to. If you had one superpower, Bill, what's the one superpower you would have?
Would be like Wolverine. It's just something about the claws out your hand. You're like, are you sure you really want your car back?
Are you sure about this? I would think about this long and hard. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a minute. Yeah, I'm going to give you 3 minutes on why you need to think about this. Yeah.
I'm going to give you 3 reasons why to think about this.
Right. Long hard, too. You're the first one that's ever said that. I used to be like, oh, I'd fly like Superman. And the more I thought about it, I was like, I'd love to teleport, right? Because then I'd be like, Bill, I'll just be in your living room here in a minute. Boom, there I am, right? We do the podcast. I'm like, boom, going back home. Or, hey, I want to go to Phillip Island this weekend. Boom, I'm in Phillip Island, right?
Nice.
So, yeah, teleportation would be absolutely on mine. Well, listen, Bill, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to wrap it up because my wife done text me 2 more times. So if I don't get off here, she's going to call me or she's going to comment down below. She's done that before. Like, where you at? Hurry up, right? And I love you, babe, because I know you're listening. So, but Bill, it's been an absolute honor. I'm going to let you end the podcast. But first, I got to give all my shout outs. First and foremost, as I always say, dude, if it wasn't for you, Bill, and everybody coming on this podcast, all the likes and subscribes, everybody that follows the show, I would not be sitting here in this seat. So it's nothing but love to each and every single one of you. I absolutely mean that. I said it, dude, 550 episodes. It's an absolute honor to be able to sit here and do this, people. It really is. Thank you so much. And I can't say it, and I cannot stress it enough. Big shout out to Kabuto America's Helmets. They're my newest friendship on board. for the podcast. They are absolutely amazing helmets. You guys and girls should go to kabutoamericas.com, try one out for yourself. Or if you happen to go to a Moto America event, they're always in the fan zone. Go by, tell Scott, say hi, pick one up and try one on for yourself. Absolutely amazing helmets. You know, Bill, I tell everybody what important it is to have a full custom suit, right? There's many custom suits out there you can get. There's Bisons, there's VO2, there's many of them out there, right? I personally am sponsored by Komani AGV Sports Group, so anybody looking for a full proper leather suit, hit me up. Big shout out to K-Tech Suspension. I know you got the Olin's hat on. I'm friends with everybody at Olin's too, so big shout out to them. It was funny because when I got my Olin's hat, I've always wanted one. So my friend hooked me up and I started wearing it. And then my buddies at K-Tech, they're like, well, what do we do to piss you off? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, dude, you've been rocking that Olin's hat pretty hard. I was like, yeah, it's pretty badass, ain't it? Right? Like, yeah, it's a badass hat. But listen, I'm friends with everybody in the paddock. I love them all, right? They're all great people. Big shout out to SFL Mini GP, South Florida and Jersey, man. That is the best racing organization as far as the youth goes program here in the United States. You guys and girls go check them out. If anybody's interested in an undersuit, 64degreeracing.com or my girl Mama Aliki at venomsport.com. You're not going to go wrong by ordering from either one of them. You know, your Nike and your Under Armour suit you buy at Dick's and all that is not on the same league. It's not in the same level. It's like buying an off-the-rack suit versus a custom suit. It's a completely different world, people. It's different. Big shout out to, dude, these are one of my original friendships that I made when I took over the podcast, Bill, the clothingkings.co.uk. Big shout out to Martin Adams out there in the UK. You guys and girls can go to that website if you're across the pond and get all your Pin the Gas podcast merch. You know, my soft shell jacket I wear, everybody's always asked where I get that from, in my beanie hats. It's exactly where I get it from. I just did a new collab with Truth Be Told Apparel. I do have merch for sale. She showed me how to set it up, but believe it or not, I'm not the most computer illiterate guy there is, even though I figured all this out. That's basically all I know besides searching up road racing. So I kind of messed it up. I kind of put it out there, but I don't know what I did wrong. So stay tuned. I'll put out the QR codes and all that. So I do have new merch dropped. Big shout out to GRG Designs, Gus Rodeo, Drippin' Wet, Chris Grazil, REB Graphics. Anybody looking to get anything wrapped, there's 3 companies you can go, 3 friends of mine that do helmet wraps, bike wraps, car wraps. They can wrap your dog, they can wrap your wife, they can wrap anything you want wrapped, right? But just show them some love. Big shout out to Corner Spin, Aaron Stevenson out there in North Carolina. Absolutely amazing program too. You guys sign up, go out there, spin some laps on the dirt. You just heard Bill how important it is out there sliding around. So go out there, have fun. Big shout out to Truth Be Told Apparel. I just had Jeremy on yesterday, Tubberman from Remix Racing. Bill, in the Super Hooligan class, they're actually doing a cash payout, him and all his sponsors, for everybody in the Super Hooligan class out there at Laguna coming up, which is a huge deal. So go back and rewatch that podcast. Big shout out to all the corner marshal workers out there. If it wasn't for each and every single one of you guys and girls, Bill and me wouldn't be showing up. Dion wouldn't be showing up racing. So big shout out. If anybody's interested in being a corner marshal worker, please hit me up. I'll put you in a direct contact with the people you need to speak to, and we'll get you out there. Have fun. Big shout out to Road Racing World. Always been a huge fan of Road Racing World. I need everybody to go to roadracingworld.com and donate to the air fences. It's imperative that we have those air fences. Again, without the corner marshal workers, without the air fences, without the ambulance out there, guess what? We're not going racing. We're not having fun. So big shout out to them. Please go and donate. Last thing I'm going to say is, listen, people, keep it in the sports. Stop ordering this shit off of Target and Temu and Walmart and all this other stuff. Support your local vendors that support you in the industry. Support the industry. Stop buying the stuff that's sold in the industry outside the industry. All you're doing is taking away from us, right? If we have no more vendors, Bill, what do we have? Nothing. People, please stop. I know if there's anything you ever wanted for your bike, hit me up. I can put you in contact with anybody you want to get in to buy whatever it is for your bike, whether it's throttle bodies, tires, swing arm. It don't matter what it is. Stop buying it off of Walmart, Target, blah. I don't care if you're getting 15% discount. Don't give a shit. It's imperative that our sport stays where it is and grows. That's what we need. Me and Bill, that's something me and Bill had not talked about, is a state of racing now versus what it was, right? We need to get back to that, but we're saving that for part 2. I wrote it down right here in the notes. Otherwise, we're going to be on here for another 2 hours. My wife be mad, and it is her birthday weekend, so I can't have her mad. So we are definitely going to touch base on that on part two of us. That's going to be a big topic point of us because there's a lot to go over on that. And with that, and this is what I mean, stay in the industry. Don't order that shit outside the industry because it hurts every single one of us, right? It really does. So thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's love and support. Bill, please tell everybody where they can find you on social media. More importantly, Dion, right? And when you guys gonna have some merch for sale, man? I need some Dion Campbell. I need some shirts and some hats.
I'll get you some shirts and hats. Dion has I don't know what page because he does all that stuff. I was honestly surprised at myself, and I got you to come up without having to have help. So I'm pretty proud of myself today. That's how the only thing I know how to do is work the computer to get somebody's account to pull up, so I can go pick up their car. Usually on Instagram, right? It's DC Racing, right? 194. He has cups like the cup we have right here, and he has all kinds of mugs and because believe it or not, we kind of drink a little bit of coffee by the gallon, and so he has merch, he has shirts and stuff. Yeah, I would like to thank JC for helping Dion with his leathers, and he's nice. and because JC fixes Dion's leathers, Tayachi that gave him the leathers, and Bryce BPR. If it wasn't for Bryce, we wouldn't be out there. And Chris, I call him the one man pit crew because he's just an animal. And I'd like to thank my son for letting me to go on this journey with him in life. And Chuck Graves helps out Dion, and we've been getting some help from some other people. So we got some announcements coming up that are going to help out. So we've been Dion has, he's like the old Skip from In Living Color. He has like 20 jobs just to be able to help pay for the racing. And on top of, he drives the semi. So when you see Dion out at the Moto America race, no, that semi wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Bryce owning the semi and Dion driving it. So, and then he has to race all weekend, help on the bikes, drive the semi back, unload the semi, and tear all the bikes down, rebuild them, and then load the semi back up and drive it back out to the next race. So,
I seen him on his Instagram post yesterday and today, building all the motors. And every time I see him on there, I just know, but like a million hearts. I'm like, as fast as I can send all of it. Because, dude, I know. Listen, I've raced, but not on your guys' level. Just me doing it. I being friends with everybody. I know what it takes, the sacrifices and a lot of the sleepless nights and racing on 2-3 hours of sleep because you're driving, setting up, and all these things, dude. You guys are absolutely legends of the sport. That's what I mean. People say, oh, well, I think you use that term legends too loosely. And I'm like, no, I don't think I do, because there's everybody in that paddock deserves more credit than what they get, because nobody sees what goes on behind the scenes. Like what you just gave an eye opener to, Dion drives the truck, sets up. Not only does he set up, they set everything up on the weekend, Thursday when they get there, all the canopies, the tent, everything, right? And then he's got
Saturday's moving.
Right, and then he's got to turn race mode on, and then when he comes off the track, he's got to kind of turn race mode on to help work on the bike and figure that there's it's such a mental game.
Yeah,
it's such a mental game. So, man, Dion.
So yes, and I'd like to thank Sage, right? Sage Wilkinson from Cascade Motorsports, CT Racing, and and Barry from Oleans for the hat, and for being around and helping us out so much. And basically everybody that's helped us in our racing throughout. There's so many people that's helped us out, and I I'm super grateful for what we get. And I just can't say enough for how much people have helped us through injuries and through hard times and through, and through the good times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, it's all that goes back into it takes a village to raise a racer, right? Just like it takes a village to raise a child. It's all those many important puzzle pieces that come into play, like Sage and everybody else to help you and Dion be Bryce and everybody, right? To be where it is. And each and every single one of those along this journey you told today is an important puzzle piece that is either a puzzle piece from a sponsor from in the past that's no longer, sponsor you guys, and new ones that are coming on board, right? And people that are here now. Each and every single one of them is just as important as the very first puzzle piece that ever fell into place, which is you, Bill. You're the first one, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the dad, and here comes Dion. So listen, Bill, this has been an absolutely proper Mega Willie time. I told you we'd have so much fun. I told you it would go by super quick, man. But
thank you for having me on. It's an honor. I've never done this before. Thank you.
Dude, the honor is all mine, Bill. 110%, bro. It really is. I cannot wait to sit back down with you because we, my friend, have so much more to talk about. Listen, so one last thing before I end the podcast. This will be out everywhere. I'm hoping tonight, depending on what time we get home tonight, I'll edit it and do all that good stuff. I'll put not first thing tomorrow. I'll tag in on social media. I'll send you the link. I'll send Dion the link. That way he's working on the bike. He can listen to our podcast and all that good stuff. What else? Oh, what's your plans for the 4th, man? What you guys doing this weekend?
Well, Dion, we have a business meeting to help with the racing. Oh, that's one person. I gotta thank more than anything. I gotta thank Jason Pridmore, for helping Dion and being a good mentor and helping him out. And Josh Hayes has helped him. But I cannot say enough for all the stuff that Pridmore's done for Dion. So Dion has we have a meeting Saturday morning, business meeting, and after the business meeting, then we're gonna go out, and we don't know if we're gonna go out towards Pismo Beach or down towards Los Angeles because we want to get out of the hills of where we're at because we're out near the hills near Malibu. And the last thing I want to do is find out that Dion Campbell Racing burnt down Malibu. So we're going to go fire off fireworks and blow some stuff up. But what is it called? And just go have some fun. Go out and go enjoy life. Yeah. Life's too short to be mad all the time.
110%. Couldn't have said it better. That's what I'm getting ready to do. I'm gonna go enjoy a night out with my wife, and all
right, tell her happy birthday.
I will, man. I appreciate it, and Bill. So I'll text you on Sunday, and we'll set up part 2 and all that good stuff. And again, thank you so much for coming on, Bill. Seriously, I mean it. It's an absolute honor.
No, it's an honor for having me. Thank you very much.
Yep. I can't wait to sit back down for part 2. And on that note, I am out of here. Bill, I'll talk to you Sunday. I hope everybody has a happy 4th of July, and I'll see everybody next week. All right, Bill. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. See you later.
See you, buddy.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.
All right, Bill, what'd you